Welcome to the Strong Youth Project, where our mission is to improve organized sport experiences for youth, parents, coaches, and other mentors via education and evidence-based practice.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another podcast with the Strong Youth Project. I am Savannah Dixon, and today we have Ben with us from the track team. We're super excited to get to know him and continue talking about the Strong Youth Project.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome, perfect. So, Ben, can you introduce yourself a little bit for us, where you're from, what you're doing, and what you love most about the Strong Youth Project?
Yeah, so I'm from Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. I'm a junior here at BYU studying exercise science. I'm on the track team, like you said. I do the decathlon. I've been doing that for a couple years now. My first year, really bad. The second year, a little bit better. Was first team All-American that year, so it went pretty good.
Amazing.
And the third year, got injured, kind of ripped up my abs. Not a good thing to do, and going into my fourth year now for track.
Wow, okay, so you've had quite a journey with track.
Yeah.
You have been through all the ups and downs of everything. Well, that's amazing. We're super excited to have you on the podcast today and learn more about you and your story and everything with the Strong Youth Project. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
So we want to start off with talking to you about what exactly your track career looked like from when you started in like middle school, high school, and then into college.
Yeah, for sure. So I actually never envisioned myself doing college track at all. That was never something that popped in my mind. Sixth grade, I just thought track looked really cool, so I just kind of gave it a go. I was pretty bad at most events. I was decent at high jump, and then throughout high school, got a little bit better. And then the end of my senior year, they let me on the team for high jumping, then kind of made the switch in college to the decathlon. But along that journey, track was never really my main sport. In high school, I played football, I did basketball, and then before that, I did pretty much every sport you could think of. Did soccer since I was a little kid, swimming, baseball, done pretty much everything. So wow. I think that definitely helped with track and field, just being able to pick up new movements, especially with the decathlon where you got to learn so many different movements. I'm constantly referring back to the past sports I did to figure them out.
Totally. That's awesome. So would you say then that being able to play so many different sports growing up has really helped you specialize and excel your best at track?
I think it definitely formed a good athletic base for me.
Okay.
It's such an intensive thing that I do right now in the decathlon, that having that strong overall athletic base has made it so that I could, kind of train and compete at a high level, I think. Yeah. But I was a little bit behind on technique once I got to college, though, because in the NCAA, there's a lot of Europeans who come over, and they've been doing it since they were in middle school and stuff, a lot of the different events and stuff. And so I was a little behind in that regard, but making a comeback.
Good. Yeah. That's awesome. That's super cool. Thank you for sharing all of that. So one thing with the Strong Youth Project that we really talk about is how to avoid early sports specialization that we have learned results in a lot of burnout in young athletes. So it's cool that you are an example of this and how you've played so many sports growing up and have been able to use all of those different experiences to help you in that. That's awesome. Earlier you mentioned that you were injured super bad. Can you walk us through that injury and some other injuries that you've had? Yeah,
so I'm actually a great example of how to get injured.
Okay.
I've had 9 sports-related surgeries at this point. And I've had a lot of other just random injuries, just like breaking my arms and stuff like that. So I've literally done all the injuries you can think of.
Okay.
But through all of that, I think all those injuries have taught me ways to be better athletically. And one thing that the coaches are really big on here, which is really important, is not waiting until you get injured before you start, preparing those sensitive muscles.
Okay.
One really good quote I like is from Benjamin Franklin. He said, "An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure," and that's definitely true. I've had a lot of heartache trying to recover from injuries, and it's so much easier just to prevent them. So if you're a kid, make sure you take the time to prepare yourself, do those warm-ups and stuff like that. Cause I think in high school and stuff, I really just went for it. I didn't really think about that PT side of it and the warm-up side of it.
Okay, yeah, totally. That's crazy. 9 sports-related injuries and whatnot. That's a lot for your body to go through. Do you think you could tell us some of those things that you've learned to do to help prevent injuries?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the first thing I'd say is make sure you get a good warm-up in.
Okay.
And they're not crazy things, you know. You got to just do those simple things. Another thing is, you know, you got to make sure you're taking care of your body hydration-wise. You got to have the right nutrition. You got to make sure that you're getting enough sleep. If you don't get enough sleep, it's going to be rough. And just all those things combining, if you do them really great over time, I think you're going to have a much better chance of staying healthy.
Okay. So lots of little things along the way, amounting to big things and helping prevent injury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you notice you're constantly tweaking a certain muscle or something, look into that. Look into that specific muscle and do some PT for that before it actually becomes a real issue.
Okay, That's good to know. This is great for our listeners here on the Strong Youth Project and things that we can do to prevent injury. Thank you for sharing that. Switching gears a little bit, I imagine over your whole life playing sports, you have had a lot of different experiences with different coaches and different coaching techniques and styles. That be correct?
For sure. I've had so many coaches over the years.
Yeah.
And there's some good ones and there's some not as good ones.
Oh, I'm sure. Lots of different personalities. With all those different coaches that you've had, do you feel that there are various techniques that have really helped you succeed and other techniques that you think weren't as helpful to you as an athlete?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd say one thing that's really big for coaches is to focus on what athletes should be doing and not on what they shouldn't be doing. You know, one good rule for coaches is to really don't say don't, don't be like, don't drop the ball. Don't put your foot here. Don't put your foot there, because then you think about doing those things and it's not very helpful. Tell your athletes what they need to do and they're going to be much more likely to do it.
Okay. That's great advice.
Yeah.
Do you have any specific examples that you could share with us and how you've seen those different coaching cues help you?
Yeah. So, when developing cues, we try and make it, 2 to 3 words, just something very specific. And like I said, something that you're going to do. So for high jump, it would be like drive your knee. That's something that you do and it's very simple and it's something that really anyone can think about doing. A bad cue would be don't hit the bar, because then your mind is just thinking about hitting the bar. That's not what you do. So
that's a great example. Thank you. Those are really good in relation to our research that we all have, or the Strong Youth Project has been doing on coaching cues and how those can really negatively affect athletes and positively affect athletes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Do you think that your coaches, or how have you seen your coaches help you prioritize recovery in regards to nutrition? I'll start with that.
Prioritize recovery in terms of nutrition?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd say my coaches, they don't really do the recovery side of stuff too much. They're more like they plan out the workouts and stuff and then tell us to, meet with the trainers and figure out our own recovery. But the recovery side is so important. Right after practice, it's important to do some sort of recovery, whether that's active recovery or passive recovery. Active recovery would be like, going for a walk, going for like a light hike with your friends or something like that. Go play pickleball or something chill. Or, if you had resources, go, hot tub, cold tub, those kind of stuff. And then the biggest recovery thing, if you're going to get anything from this, is to make sure you get enough sleep. There's tons of studies out there that if you don't have enough sleep, you're going to be much more likely to get injured. For us as athletes, we try and get between 8 to 10 hours of sleep. For myself, I know I need at least 9 hours of sleep, which is quite a bit for a college student. Sometimes I got to go to bed a little bit earlier because I got to wake up at 6:30 for weights or so. So you just got to be disciplined and do the simple things really, really well over time.
That's awesome. Super good information. Thank you for sharing. Sounds like sleep really is the most important thing.
Yeah.
So that is something that I think all of us as athletes currently in collegiate sports can take to heart, but also everyone else, coaches, parents, young athletes, learning from Ben that sleep is the most important thing when it comes to recovery. So one last question that we have for you is, how do you feel competing as an individual in your sport helps contribute to your whole team in general? Because track is an individual sport, but you're also a part of a greater team.
Yeah. It is an individual sport, and, you kind of have a responsibility for like how you perform and stuff and whatnot. But at the same time, it's a big network, and it's really important that you have good relations with your teammates and stuff, because you really help each other out. You push each other in practice, and we're learning from each other constantly. Like for the decathlon, there's so many events where my teammates are better than me, and they're teaching me how to do it. And it's really just a big group effort. Without the coaches, without the nutritionists, without the weight coaches, without all those people, you're not going to be too successful. So you got to work as a team. If you try and do it by yourself, you're going to fail. My freshman year, I tried to do a lot more by myself, and my results weren't nearly as good as when I relied on other people around me.
Wow, that's awesome. Huge testimonial of why team is important and how working together as a team can help you have success, but also your team as a whole have success.
Yeah.
Awesome. One last question to finish things off. What is your favorite thing about the Strong Youth Project?
My favorite thing about the Strong Youth Project, I think that's just getting true concepts out there. I know as a kid, there was a lot of things that were confusing to me. And I heard a lot of kind of myths that just kind of perpetuate over time. Like, I was really scared to start strength training because I was afraid that, I might have my growth stunted. I never knew. I thought creatine was going to just like destroy my body if I ever took it. Just a lot of random stuff that I wish I knew as a kid. We're actually pushing out to coaches and kids so they have correct, good information, and then they can make choices for themselves. I think that's important. I think when you have the correct information, you're gonna make better choices. So I'm really excited about that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great words for the Strong Youth Project. Ben, we really appreciate you being on this podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate being on.
And we're excited for what's coming. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Thank you.